Hey everyone, Karac Hendriks here with the Unbroken podcast. This is our first inaugural episode, I guess we could say. We're going to be talking about mental health and our journey, but I can't talk about this journey alone. That's why I'm saying we. Looking across the table from me, well, kind of in between our kitty, Archer, who's looking up at spirits, I guess.
Granny.
I'm not sure. Yeah, possibly Granny, is my wife, Marilyn. She's
Hey.
right there. Hey. Why don't you give us a little bit of an intro? This is definitely your baby, but I'm going to try and help us through the journey, at least initially.
Okay, thanks, hon. I've been thinking about doing something like this for probably more than 10 years, I would say. All three of my children have suffered with some mental health challenges. And I think like after our last child was diagnosed and we've now come out on the other side of this journey, I decided it was time. And just so happened that this awesome man across from me was doing podcasts. So I asked him if he would help me out with this, and he agreed to. So I'm really thankful and I appreciate the time. So thanks for helping me, babe.
It's going to help me too. I mean, it's been quite the journey. I mean, we can, through this at least intro episode, we'll maybe set up our listeners so they know where we come from, what we're up to, what we've been doing all along. It has been quite the journey, and you've been wanting to do something like this for a long time, and I think that we've agreed that it's going to be possibly just a way for us to process what we've been through.
Definitely.
Of course, the kids have their own processing to do, or have done that too, their own journeys, but we as the parents have definitely had to be the strong ones, I think, especially you. I mean, being the steady one, and I've had obviously my own challenges as well, and it's been quite the ride anyway. So let's maybe set up our listeners. We've been together almost 25 years now.
Yes, we have.
We got married in 2001, so we're coming up on our 20th anniversary this year, in a lovely COVID time, so we won't be able to go anywhere. Of course, we're broke anyway, so it's not like we could afford to go anywhere. But it's been quite the journey. Of course, you had 2 children from before, and then we had one of our own. So the mental health struggles, I think we've seen a lot of changes, not only from being able to observe the fact that there's a bit of genetics involved and environment, but also society has changed a lot too. And I think that, now that mental health is not just there is always a biological component, but there's also a societal component too. And life is hard, for God's sakes. I mean, it's So let's. So with the 3 kids, I mean, they each have their own story, maybe their own stories to tell. We'll see how long we can keep this going.
Yeah, and they've all 3 agreed to very willingly to talk about this.
Yeah.
And just in the hopes to help anyone that might be going through something like this. It's definitely not meant to be like a medical advice or anything like that. It's just strictly our story, what we went through, and in hopes by sharing it that someone else that might be going through it doesn't feel alone, because it is a very lonely place to be. And I'm not sure why it's like that, but I think there's a whole aspect to that we'll probably get into later on. But so, and it's just if somebody, is going through it and you don't know how you can support them, hopefully this will help you with that as well.
For sure. It's, like you said, can kind of be lonely. And another word that kind of comes to mind for me is helpless. I mean, we had lots of family support, at least in spirit, although we came from our small town, moved to the big city, as it were. But so we had to lean on a lot of coworkers, a lot of friends, and family from afar as best as they could, of course, too.
Yeah.
But it definitely wasn't easy. And on top of that, we encountered a lot of challenges, which I'm sure a lot of listeners are going to be able to relate to as well, with the systems that are set up to help us. It's just not easy.
It's a big challenge.
Yeah, I think we definitely observe that there are a lot of well-intentioned, well-meaning people within the system, but the system is, I hate to say it, broken.
Yes, it is very broken.
And I don't know how to fix that. I think that's bigger than you or I, but at least we're talking about it. And I think the common thread that I can see through all of our examples, or all of our situations with the kids, is that it took a lot of just attention from you, from me, just not giving up, being very diligent about it.
Just think about like over the years, like back from when the oldest one was suffering, and we,
Mm-hmm.
back then it was even more. I don't know, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. We just kind of think we missed some of the signs there, and
Yeah.
then we kind of missed the boat on that one a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
but then with the second one, it was a little bit better for getting some help and some stigma, but
Yeah.
still, it was pretty bad.
Yeah. Teen girls, of course, right? I think they're
Yeah.
even worse. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I think every situation for boys or girls is different. They each have their own, but yeah, it was really hard to to watch a teen girl, go through all those societal pressures. But then when we come to our boy, I mean, I think in some ways maybe we thought we had it all under control, but
Oh, we thought so.
we
Yeah.
clearly missed a lot of stuff too.
There's something else I think we'll hopefully talk about later on is how you overlook, even though we've been through it twice before.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I know. It's yeah. Don't want to say the R word, but I mean, yeah, I think we each have definitely some regrets, and
Yeah.
but we definitely, I think in all cases, wanted to not overreact to things. I think there are elements of all of these things, especially through the teen years, that are quite normal.
Yes.
I mean, even if you ask teens, I'm pretty sure if we ask, my grandma, for God's sake, in her teen years,
Yeah.
things were just as hard for. She remembers. She still talks about that. So
Well, just to interrupt you, but you do
Yeah.
remember, like, even the comments that came down when the second one was suffering
yeah,
about how it was, just like a certain book, or,
yeah,
how not only were we trying to muddle through that situation, we were trying to defend it to
yeah,
people, and that was really hard.
yeah. I think that would maybe be if I could compare the three. I think it was at least I felt like we didn't have to like feel like we had to describe it or make excuses for like
No.
in through the the late 20 teens here now we've at least got to a point where we have Bell Let's Talk, and
That's true.
there's these other initiatives where it's becoming less taboo to talk about it.
Yes, absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
at least we've been able to not skip that step, because there I think was even especially through the second one, a lot of issues of she's just being dramatic,
Yes.
or she's reading too many bad books, or not watching the right movies. I don't know.
Yeah, no, 100%. I
And-
think there is always some of that aspect to it, and it just makes it really hard to navigate your own situation when you're having to defend it to other people,
Yeah,
and it's not easy.
yeah. But the people that were, I would say, the most help through all of it were the people that had also been through it or acknowledged it. I think there were a lot of
Yes.
good intentions from a lot of people, but yeah, it was definitely the ones, and surprisingly, there were some that we really did not expect would be there for us that were, and there were definitely some that we thought would be there and were not. So,
Definitely, yeah.
for anyone that is listening and they're either on their own journey or they've been through it as well, they're gonna don't the F word for me, forgiveness, right? You just people do their best given the skills and intentions they have, and you have to just do your best to wade through it, and no one knows your child better than you.
Yeah.
Even if you're missing stuff,
Well, and you're also like dealing with your own like guilt and your own
Yeah.
like, what did I do,
Yep.
to cause this? And then it's a whole thing. I don't know.
It sure is. Well, I mean, that's why we're doing this. It's a whole thing, and we're gonna do as many episodes as we feel, until we're feeling like we're closed up somewhat, and we're also going to be opening up the lines. There's through the podcast provider, there's a spot where people can go to a website and leave us a voice message, and then we
Nice.
can play them on future episodes and maybe address some questions
Yeah.
if people have, because we can only share our experience here in central Alberta, Canada, and at the time that we're at, and definitely we'll try and give back as much as we can, because it was hard. There were some good supports, there were some terrible supports through every instance, but we definitely had each other too. That was
we
a
did.
good
We
thing
managed
too.
to get through that.
Yeah, it hasn't been easy. I mean, especially on you. I mean, I've had my own challenges as well, and And so, yeah, through all that, I certainly learned about myself, especially with our son.
Well,
We had
or easy
together.
for you going through your own mental health challenges as
Yeah,
well.
no, of course,
So yeah, we've made it so far.
yeah, yeah.
So far, so good.
Yeah. Well, no, of course we have a great relationship,
Yes,
and
we do.
but we've seen, through some of through our kids' friends and stuff too. It this kind of stuff tears families apart.
Yeah.
And sometimes kids, their mental health issues get triggered and exacerbated from the problems that their parents are having too. So it all kind of goes hand in hand, and there is no one to blame, and there's no one that can just ultimately fix it all. But we do need to just keep talking about it
Yeah.
and work through the resources, and we'll share our experiences and examples as best as we can. From as much memory as we can, we actually had a bit of an issue with, unfortunately,
Boy.
the old Apple iCloud chose to fail us there pretty hard. Pretty much my fault. I think we've ascertained on that, but
Accidents
it was
happen.
it was, yes, there was I just don't want to give Apple any more of my money. I don't care if it's $2 a month for extra storage. I thought, no, I can figure this out. I can reduce the size of that backup, and I guess by doing that, somehow I reduced the size of your notes. Marilyn was keeping a note in her phone, which had been backed up from phone to phone for years and years.
I think I had a good solid 2 years worth of stuff from Cohen's journey.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I started that actually doing that because I was trying to keep track of all the medications and stuff that he was on
Yeah.
in order to take into the various doctors we were seeing.
Yeah.
And then it just sort of became like, I don't know. I just started documenting a lot of stuff. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. We're moving on, like he says.
He
just
actually was the one that really,
let it go, Mom.
yeah, he brought that home. He said maybe it was lost for a reason, and I guess we can look at it that way. And I also find it very interesting that I can see you're fighting back some tears because this is the last day that our child will be 17. That we're recording this, he turns 18 tomorrow, and it's been, it's been amazing seeing the man he's become, and of course, all three of our kids have been just great people, great citizens. But our boys, he's half yours and half mine, and I can always tell which half is mine, sadly. But
oh, he's so funny. Yeah, I was just upstairs there at lunch and had a little cry with him there, and he showed me this I don't know, meme or something about this mom that made a boy out of yarn. It was so funny to keep him around, I guess.
Well, yeah, when the kid goes away, then they've got a kid version. Yeah, not like a.
No, it was a yarn boy, and the mom like had him eating fries and.
Oh my God! What are those?
Like on a skateboard.
What do they call those when you're like a voodoo doll or whatever?
Yeah, it looks like that.
But yeah, ooh, creepy.
It's funny.
It is funny, yeah.
But no, it's a good thing. Like I was telling them, it's a very good thing. This is what you want for your children to grow up and be happy and successful, and that's what he's doing.
He sure is.
But it's a strange feeling.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think our journey too. As we talk through this, it's just a nice reminder that with all of our kids, I mean, you can get through it. You get through to the other side. It never, and some of this stuff never truly goes away. Some of it is just always going to be there, and managed. But part of life is just moving on and sharing your own journey and trying to find that happiness and find your place in the world. We've got with what is that? So you got 3 grandkids now.
3 big grandbabes.
Yeah. One's a little older, 2 in the middle, and it's
it's amazing.
And they're doing so well as parents themselves, and they will encounter their own stuff too, and hopefully we can try and help them if and when that all comes around.
Yeah.
Nobody ever skates through, I don't think, with anything, or with nothing, I should say. Like there's always going to be challenges. That's again why I think I've had to learn to forgive myself. Hopefully you have too, especially with Cohen. That it can look like we missed signs, but I think it was such a slow ride, and we didn't want to overreact. We didn't want to, in a way, be the overbearing parents that dramatic, helicoptering the whole bit. But on the other hand, we could have, coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? I mean, there's going to be a lot of that in life in general, and we have to try to not to do that and try to move forward and be very thankful that for the supports that we did have. We're going to try and shout out the good and the bad through this podcast.
Yeah.
And yes, good boy, there are some life changers, and I think we'll get into that in quite a bit of detail, even
I
at
think
the
so too.
yeah.
I think we should.
Yeah, it'll help us kind of process, some of this stuff too. I'm not sure what order we'll go in. We'll have to set it down, or maybe we'll just start doing it and see what happens.
It's just like when you're in the middle of everything, you don't actually process anything.
Yeah.
You, as I guess in talking to my counselor, you're just in survival mode.
Yeah.
And so you actually don't process. And when it does come, it's hard.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, coupled with the fact that, especially I think for moms, I mean, there's a whole identity around being a parent, and
That's been my whole identity.
well, sure, yeah, and now we're gonna have to figure out, what do we do now? I think we'll figure it out. But
Yeah, we will. So I think like going forward, you and I will talk about our journey, and then each of the kids are going to talk about their own. So they'll have their own little episodes as this goes along.
Yeah, we'll try and patch them in through this machine somehow. I think we can do that.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully we can be of some help to someone out there.
Yeah, that's definitely my hope as well. Yeah, help people get through, and I mean, and not even just survive, but thrive. I know that sounds kind of hokey, but you can really help your kids get through this stuff, and there's only sadly so much you can do as a parent, but it is still very important to do.
It is, and I was lucky enough to have the supports from my work. I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't had that situation and that family there.
Absolutely.
So that's been, I don't know. It's just was very fortunate.
I feel the same
situation
way with mine, and I think that we had definitely. I mean, we haven't attended church frequently for a long time, but I feel like if for people that do, there's also resources and supports, maybe through community, through religion, through parent groups too. We went through all that, although I don't think we ever really found our home.
No, I don't think we did either.
Definitely. I mean, we can get into this in the future episodes too. But the one thing that really sticks with me is that there was or is one group that was, way almost there they were there for us, but it was focused around drug and alcohol. Pep. Yes, and great people, really well intentioned. But when things aren't circling around the substance itself, then what?
Well, I looked for resources in that aspect, but I couldn't really find anything. Yeah. Something did start up sort of at the end of our situation, but I mean, I feel like we would have been very helpful to us to have talked to people that were going through the same thing. Yeah. And because you feel, I don't know, you just feel helpless and alone, and you don't know what to do. Yeah. And you're navigating all the other aspects that went along with our situation there as well, which we'll talk about later. Yeah. And so, it's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah, for sure. I think it can trigger a lot of parents' feelings of their own past too, and not only just with them as being adults and parents, but perhaps when they see their kids going through things, it may trigger maybe some traumas from before too, and there's always going to be situations around that where sometimes then the parents have to deal with their own stuff too, and I
definitely can bring up stuff.
Observe that,
and I did find too that one thing I discovered is that if I did reach out to someone, I was quite surprised at how receptive people were. And it wasn't that I was embarrassed to reach out to anybody. I just was too much in a spin.
Well, reaching out is hard too. I mean, sadly, that's one of the most well-intentioned but least effective things that people can do. Say, give me a call if you need something, or let me know. Because the problem is, especially with mental health, is that they go inward. They don't go out and, hey, I need a friend. Well, that all sounds great, but it doesn't really work like that. It almost takes being kind of pushy to be a support of for people that are dealing with mental health stuff.
Yeah, I can think of, just a lot of people that, especially at my work, that did reach out. So I don't know.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, it's been quite the journey. But okay, well that's 20 minutes, hon. I think
I think
that's a
we've
good intro. Hey, so
wrapped that one up.
awesome. Well, yeah. Thanks for checking us out. This is the Unbroken podcast for our little situation here. Name checking one of my songs, which has nothing to do with mental health in particular. I guess you could read into it somewhat if you want to, but it was just a nice little title. And we did Google it. It looks like there's a couple other podcasts with the title in there as well. But we will add a little colon and then some further description.
Fix it up.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for listening.